This is a wrestling content channel. Tired of the same old wrestling commentary? Craving something deeper, something more insightful? Then buckle up, because I'm going to drop the 5 hottest wrestling podcasts or shows that will help you to have a more critical mind for wrestling. Now, I listen to a lot of wrestling content, too much for my liking. And what do? You just add more to the repertoire. So I feel like if you want to be more balanced than just not watching a lot of shoots, dirt sheets, a lot of aggregators, there's a lot of aggregating in the streets where people are just pulling from this person says Fightful says this and Dave Meltzer says that, and it's like, I can just read this in an email. Per my last email, I can read that in an email, and they do really good just putting random what other people are saying and put it into an aggregator or aggregate. So I want to see things from different perspectives to improve my wrestling repertoire. So I feel, not in particular in any order, but I feel right now really good wrestling shows or podcasts. So the Jim Cornette show, I think that's what we call it. It is just funny. I don't know what he's even talking about. This guy and his co-host, I can't remember, he can give you the wrestling history, he can give you his take, and he can make anything funny. He does really, I think it's called the Jim Cornette Experience podcast. I can't explain, like, he knows the wrestling business so well, it just effortlessly just comes off his tongue. I might not agree with everything, and I think he does really bash AEW too much, to be fair, if I'm going to be honest. He does. But on a whole, it's long form content which you can listen to, and it gives some insight. The next one is a newer show or podcast, Behind the Turnbuckle, and this is with Jonathan Coachman and Vin Russo usually co-hosts with him. I think they really gives really good behind the scenes, like production. So if you talk about production, how the WWE works behind the scenes, it gives you a good landscape of where to think and how WWE make their decisions. The coach was Vince's assistant, so you, instead of going through speculation, you go with someone who worked with him for years and years and years. And I think Vince Russo worked there as well. There was similar time working together. So I think it's a very good balanced critique. Good, I would call them good pundits, Coach and Vince Russo. Now we go to, is it Chris Van Vliet? If I say his name right, this Canadian podcaster, very good host. He presents this nice guy persona. People like it. The wrestlers feel safe. That's the thing. If you want to get wrestlers to feel vulnerable, and he's got good reach. You can tell he's a really good fan. You can tell he wanted to be a wrestler, but somehow it didn't work out for him. But, you can tell he works on his craft. No matter how much I think he dick rides, no matter how I feel like he's on their dick too much, I'm like, I don't think he's impartial. But the show business is very egotistical, so he has to feed their ego. The guy's providing a service is trying to make these wrestlers he does his research, he produces well, edits well, and he brings out, I think, sometimes the best out of the wrestlers because they trust him and they know that he's not going to try to make them look silly. What I really loved he did when he brought in Velveteen Dream, I can't remember his proper name, and he let Velveteen Dream say his side of the story, and he was probing him and being a proper journalist, to be fair, and get him this, like, why Velveteen Dream got in trouble, why he got fired, the drugs, the outbursts, the rage, all that type of thing. And I thought that was really good. So sometimes he does act like a proper journalist, but I do think he dick rides too hard and doesn't always ask the right questions, and he knows if he does the wrestlers ain't coming on his show. So it's a balance, And also, he wants to be in with everybody, isn't it? It's his bread and butter, I guess. So it is what it is. Another wrestler, not wrestling channel, I think he's more of a reviewer, is C-Jax. So I think he's quite funny on the funny side. If I was on a scale, so there's another there's another wrestling reviewer, I guess, called Hater. The reason I didn't put him on this list is because I think the Hater is really just hating sometimes. And I like to be like, is it a fair commentary? Am I just being negative? As you know, people say that I'm a troll as an analyst, but I wouldn't say that. If it's crap, it's crap. If it's not, it's not. So what I like with C-Jax will give his opinion. If I don't agree with C-Jax, he's funny. He does like impressions of Cody Rhodes, libations and Rhea Ripley and stuff like that. So I think if I had to choose between Hater and C-Jax, I'll go C-Jax because I think he's slightly more balanced than the Hater. But I love the Hater. I listen to everybody because before I do my reviews, I do a lot of reviews, but before I give my analysis, I do not watch. I just watch wrestling. I watch it as soon as I can, and I do my analysis. And then afterwards, I watch what other people are saying because I don't want to be influenced to my audience. I wanted to give a really good analysis of what's happening as soon as possible. I don't want to be influenced with what everyone's saying because everyone has their own agenda and their own audience, what they cater into. And that's that. But C-Jax is quite funny. If you just want something lighthearted. If you know what, he reviews things sometimes segment by segment. So if you don't even want to watch the match, watch him. I'll obviously watch my reviews as well. Come on now. And who is really good, if I could have the production value and have the time to have the production of that being very analytical, Stevie Richards' show. He doesn't want to call it a podcast, but he's very analytical. People see him as a jobber. But I love when he was in Right to Censor. I thought he was really good. I remember him from Right to Censor. He stood out to me. Him and Ivory, also Victoria, I can't remember. But he definitely stood out for me, Stevie Richards. And he gives his stories. And I feel like being an enhancement talent, or whatever you call him, a jobber, he has a breadth of knowledge. He's worked with the best. He's worked with the best in TNA. I can't remember if he was in WCW. I think he was in WCW. He definitely was in ECW. Let me know if he was in WCW. Definitely in WWE. So he breaks things down. If you want to know behind the business, Stevie Richards' show is the one, and I'm glad that it's getting more popular. But those for right now, if you want to increase what's going on in the wrestling world and be on the pulse, behind the scenes and stuff like that, obviously listen to my channel you're listening to now, but these are really cool. Let me drop in the comments if I missed anything, because I'm open to listen to other commentary. The reason why I don't like watching sometimes like Busted Open, because I feel like you guys are riding WWE too much, and sometimes the guy, I don't mind Busted, the guy, what's the guy's name, the grey hair guy, oh god, it's not like I don't, he's sometimes mean to the fans. If you don't know about Sting and Ric Flair or this Ricky Steamboat and what was the Coliseum and what was the temperature that day and what was the moisture in the room, he was just rude to fans. I'm like, we don't care to know. I care about the legacy of wrestling. I do care about that. You have to know where you're going, before what happened in the history. But he shames fans for not knowing something like that. And if you're a Gen Z or an Alpha or even a millennial like myself, I'm not going to remember what happened in 1972. It's nice to know, but I'm not going to go, my dick is not going to be riding hard for that, and I wouldn't shame someone on my platform for doing that. And Bully Ray is and I don't like to have this anti AEW agenda. I don't like that. If you don't like AEW, that's fine. I don't need to feed in hate. If you don't like Mercedes Moné, that's fine. But don't feed into hate. And I think they do that because obviously they want to get on the good side of WWE, don't they? And I feel they're really, really biased. But that's just me. Let me know what you think. Anyone else on the list? I used to watch before, when these wrestling podcasts boom. I used to watch Talk Is Jericho. I was watching it, listening to it, the podcast. I was listening to Stone Cold's podcast, but then I got turned off because there were some undertones of racism, which I didn't like in Stone Cold Sweet Rock podcast, to be fair. And I was like, can I ethically watch it? Morally listen to it when he did. The guest what he had on was, the one he described, one guest he had, and he kind of co-signed it, like, he likes his coffee like Halle Berry, like brown. And I was like, and Stone Cold just let that happen. I was like, I know what type of guy you are. I know how much he likes to eats his wife pussy. And I was like, that's nice to know, but you didn't have to tell me. So that misogynistic kind of vibe Stone Cold gets to it. But when you're popular, like Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold, you can beat up your wife, you can have sex with other people, you can do domestic violence, you can be racist. But if you got a fan base, people will just turn a blind eye. So that's that. So yeah, let me know any people should be on the list, or any really good wrestling content, just to help you just not be just brainwashed with WWE programming.